William Morrow and HarperAudio present The Paris Secret, a novel by Karen Swan. Performed by Imogen Church. For Auntie Flora, the original and best bad influence. Prologue. Paris, July 2016. Clouds bearded the moon, and the horizon was still inky, with every one of the world-famous lights turned off, save for the beacon at the top of the distinctive tower that distinguished the famous city even in the dark. The two men moved unseen on the mansard roofs, keeping their heads below the ridgeline, bodies curled inwards like autumn leaves, their stealthy footsteps no more than the mere padding of cats to the sleeping inhabitants of the apartments below. Catching sight of their mark on the other side of the street, they stopped and crouched between the dormers, their eyes counting down the number of windows echoed in the matching buildings across the street. In silence, they spooled out the rope, the carabiners clipped on their harnesses clattering together like chimes as they moved, sure-footed, pulses up, and anchored themselves to the chimney stack. The first man stepped over the edge, feeling that familiar rush as gravity exerted its might and the rope tightened. He paused for a second, checking that everything would hold, before dropping down below the roofline, pushing off from the wall with his feet every few meters. The other man followed, and within a minute they were there. The dust-screened windows which had first caught their attention, every bit as obscured close up as they had hoped. The Juliet balcony outside it was shallow, wide enough only for a potted rose, but it was sufficient for a foothold, and they swung their legs over the intricate balustrade. Standing with their feet parallel to the wall, they could angle their body weight into the building, and each of them cupped his hands around his face, trying to peer past the obfuscated glass. But it was like trying to see through smoke. In the distance, a siren sounded, and both men stiffened, their reflexes sharp as they tracked which direction it was coming from and where it was heading to. Not here. That was all they needed to know. They resumed their efforts to get in, gloved hands on the doors. There was no handle on the outside, and the inner left-facing door didn't budge, but the outer one rattled lightly, showing it was loose. Loose enough, anyway. These doors were old, the wood rotting, the single glazing so thin they could crack it with a sneeze. But even that wouldn't be necessary. The first man had bent his knees and, his eye level with the latch, could clearly see the thin metal arm of an old-fashioned hook that was the only thing keeping the outside out. He grabbed his knife from his back pocket and, jimmying it into the gap, quickly flicked it upwards. The hook swung up, round and back, knocking lightly against itself. They were in. It was that easy. A sharp eye, a rope, and a knife. The doors were stiff with neglect, the hinges protesting with loud creaks as they were forced back, but open they did, and both men stepped onto the parquet floor. They twisted their headlamps on and, unclipping themselves from the ropes, began to move silently through the empty rooms. The air was so stale, it almost had a fizz.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?